Sup nerds, I'm Wes.
I'm Tom.
I'm Aaron.
We're Neverboard Gaming, and today we're talking about City of Gears by Gray Fox Games.
In case you guys don't know, this game is currently on Kickstarter. So what we're looking at here is the full production copy. They're doing this new thing where it's like... we were having a bit of a discussion while we were playing it. Like trying to... this thing that we do where we try to put games into categories. Well, like...
This one's so hard to figure out.
Yeah, it's very amalgamous. It's a big blend of different things. And actually, thinking back to it, the two games that... Well, first of all, it looks a lot like Ghost Stories, even though it's not Ghost Stories. But it reminded me of the Renegade... The big Planet Defenders, not Galaxy Defenders, Planet Defenders, because you have the tiles are kind of like stationary, but it's not worker placement. But like you can activate these effects if you can get your dude there, but you have to get the ability to get there.
It's definitely area control is the main thing that it is. Like that's
right.
Area control is how you win the game, but that's like the only thing that feels area. Like it doesn't feel area control because there's not like we're holding these lines up. Yeah, and it's not risk area control. It's just whoever controls these areas at the end of the game.
And if you control the area at the beginning of your turn, you can actually activate that space. So like you do need to like take over territories.
Not even control it, you just have to be there because it's not like, oh, I'm controlling this, you can't be here. We can both be there.
But what he's talking about is the placement of your dudes, which is a resource that you're not limitless on. You got to try and figure out the best way to allocate that. But it's not. You're right. It's not like a dudes on a map like in area control in terms of a militaristic. Well, actually, you can hit other people off, but again, you're not just taking the largest percentage of the map. You're trying to.
There's not number crunching.
There's a little bit of number crunching.
Yeah, but I mean, in the
I'm like, okay, there's 2 points here, 3 points there.
No, as far as the combat, there's not battle crunching.
Yeah.
It's a little wacky with that aspect of, I'm going to spread this dice and you go back to here, and I'm going to activate this thing and you guys swap. And
you lose a battle and that person goes all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if that other person just gets one lightning bolt, they can essentially come right back.
Out there.
Yeah, so it's not that. It's just bad that you don't then get to use that
ability
thing. Yeah, that section.
I think the coolest thing about this game, though, is when you activate a tile, there are then other tiles that have bonuses that you collect if you've made like a path or a link. So you put your gears down to connect two tiles together that lets you travel back and forth between them. That's also kind of how you can gain control of an area with how many gears and people you have on it. But when you activate a tile, and I have to activate this tile, and I can activate this one, and not activate, but get the bonus of this tile, and this tile, and this tile, and this tile.
But you have to be able to draw that line in a certain way. So like if you have, like I did, where I have this tile here, then I have the tile to the left, the tile to the right, and the tile right above it. When I activate that middle tile, I'm really only drawing a line to one of those places. But if I'm over here to the left, I can draw a line here or here, which makes me think that like while you're trying to build these chains, you also want a really good. You want an ability that you want to activate to be at the end of the line.
Yeah,
that makes sense, right? You don't want it to be in the middle, and then you have to.
Or to have a circle. I ended up having a circle on half the board, such that no matter which one I activated, it went all the way around the loop, and it doesn't like go around.
No, it's
forever.
It's infinite.
But I do think that ability, it gives you some good direction. Because first sitting down, there's not a lot of like, you're trying to get here, you're trying to accomplish this. It's just, hey, this game's going to go on for a while, and at the end of it, whoever has the most gets points for it. So that having the links and like getting the certain abilities, especially because everything's face down, so you don't know what the abilities are, being able to make those paths and lines kind of helps give you a direction and a push of how to start your turn and how to kind of take your first couple rounds of the game.
There's a couple of the city tiles that we revealed that when you activate them, you get victory points for occupying, multiple of that same type. Mm-hmm. And those really make you want to spread to those areas and find them if you haven't already found them. Like when the first one flipped up, we're like, oh, okay, so I can get activate this and get victory points for it. But if I can find another one and another one, and like I didn't know there was 3 of them out there. Because it was my first playthrough. I was like, I wonder how much this could actually work.
Well, and these tiles are randomized as well.
You could have 4 of them in there.
Or you could have 1.
So we're talking about activating them and getting these link bonuses, and those are really helpful because they're giving you more tokens to give you more actions. Because if you're gathering more steam, you can move more guys out on the board and have more options on your next turn of what you can activate. Or if you're activating them and you're getting a gear bonus, it's allowing you to draw more gears and make more connections. Plus you have the dice you rolled, which is, it's a lot of options, and it really, helps, to see what you rolled first, and then you're like, okay, if I activate this, I'm going to get these, icons for my link bonus. Now I have this pool of tokens and dice to spend on my actions.
And I think that really does add to the fact that this game can combo super well. Yeah. The cogs that you're buying and developing to give you special abilities, like in the last game I had one that just every turn I got an extra little puffy cloud thing. I don't remember what these are called. Puffy cloud thing. And then another one that said every turn I could turn a puffy cloud thing into a Harry Potter lightning bolt. So essentially every turn I could get a lightning bolt, which I feel like is one of the better tokens or resources you can get. So things like that combo really well. And then if you do have that long path, when you activate it, you get all of these things, which then give you that many more turns that could hypothetically let you activate other things or move things into better places. So if you plan your turn well, the comboing can really click together for you.
So there is something to be said about the idea that when you draw these cogs, like knowing how, not just knowing how powerful they are, but like knowing what's in there. You know what I mean? So you really do want there to be a large amount of cogs. So we really want there to be a lot of stretch goals, so that way the options for when you draw. Because again, when you play, like, you know how you get expansions for games that just add more cards? Well, you want to dilute that pool, so that way that one card that tends to be pretty, that some person can utilize pretty well, you want there to be, you just want to buy it. Because money.
Well, in addition to that, we want more tiles out there because a lot of these tiles have to do with how you move your guys. And so having a variety of the type of tiles and the type of crazy actions just make those games, I mean, obviously it's more replayable, but it's also, there's more mystery when you're like, I wonder what's there. And there's less less elimination of, okay, it's one of these 4, hoping it's this one.
One resource you're very limited to at the beginning is your workers. You only have 3 of them. You have to spend victory points or the prestige points to actually
special cogs
to unlock more of them. So, Tom, you actually didn't unlock all of yours. You did lose the game, but you were able to still
slide that on.
Did lose the game, just
it's a valid strategy if you want to lose.
Yeah, you lost easily.
But seriously, you didn't unlock all your guys, and you still were able to lock down a lot of territories for endgame bonuses, and you didn't have to spend as many points as we did to get them. So it's like, it's very variable, and it's like, do I want to give up these points to have more influence on the board to gain more victory points at the end, or do I want to just try and put as many gear tokens as I can.
Just bum rush the board with the 3 dudes that I have.
Yeah.
I mean, I did buy one eventually because I was like, why have I not been buying these? I feel like I'm at such a disadvantage. You guys had I think Wes had just bought his 3rd extra one, so he had 6. And I was like, wait, I have half the dudes that he has? What am I doing? Come on, man.
And because it's not strictly worker placement, it's not like, oh, I have twice the dudes you have, I have twice the turns you have, because you're still limited to the dice rolls and the resources that you have. But again, it does help you lock things down or help you get in a position because there is bumping. So okay, well, he could bump me, so I'm going to put 3 guys there to make sure that you're going to spend 3 lightning bolts to get me cleared off of there. So
that you can't take that action. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I feel like it's one of those things that it does matter at what point in the game you do it. If you're on your last round and you're going to spend 6 points to unlock that last dude, you need to make sure that you can make him worth 6 points, and you're not better off just having those points in your bank. But if you do get those points early on and you're able to 3rd, 4th round of the game have all you 3 guys, then that really does help get things rolling for you.
I know it's not a super big deal, but one thing that I do like is the fact that everybody's player boards, even though they didn't need to be different colors, they're all different colors. Last night I played Pie Town, and it's just everybody just take a bakery tile. Well, here they're all the Mech Corp and Future Vision. They didn't need to be that different because, I don't know if it's a super far stretch goal, but none of these have special abilities, right? There's nothing that the blue guy can do that the yellow guy can't do. But they put that time, and if we get those different sculpted minis. They just put the time to make each color feel like, thematically you're a different company. You're a different robot, Mech Corp, Future Vision, Steamboat, Cogsworth. Oh, Cogswell!
So Tom did mention the different sculpted minis. If you guys haven't seen that yet, one of the stretch goals that's kind of far out there, but totally attainable if you back this game, is that each different company is going to get a uniquely sculpted mini, which I think would, we played this game with Meeples, it was still good. I think having all the different minis and the board and stuff would just make this game pop really well.
So end game, you're looking for the most prestige points, and during the game, it's actually kind of hard to get them. There's a couple, depending on which tiles are out there, there's only a couple spaces where you can link bonus to gain a victory point, or you can sell your lightning bolts, like the dice, or like if you have lightning bolt tokens, you can sell those for 1 victory point.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of your points come from like the actions where you gain victory points for each tile you have, or there's a couple like
Endgame scoring things.
the end game ones, and there's a few that are like during the game. Like I had one where you could decide not to roll a die to gain a victory point instead. So it's like, is it worth it? Like, you can get a couple extra points here and there. And it is a pretty tight game at the end. Like the victory points, there's only like a 10-point spread between us. So
between Wes and Aaron, at least.
Yeah. So getting a couple points every turn, when there's a lot of turns, like it can definitely add up. You're like, okay, I want to link bonus to get these couple points, or sell off these lightning bolts so they're not actually going to be useful for me, because you can only store one unless you two in the wild.
Two potentially, and that just comes with you can kind of get better the more you play this game. You can kind of learn which cogs are really useful and learn how much. It's always good to know when you sit down to a game and say like, ooh, this is worth 2 points. No, trust me, 2 points is a lot in this game, And
that does add to the cutthroat aspect of it, that every single 2-point spot on the board to like flip over a new tile is going to be fought after. Like just putting a gear down and think, oh, I'll just get there later. Like no, everyone is like fighting to get every single bit of 2 points on the board.
I bet you there are a lot of players who really want to just bum rush the board and flip everything up. But we sat with just one tile not flipped up, just trying to, do combos and do our turns for such a long time that by the time we flipped up that 9th tile and we put in those, what are they called?
The opening day.
Yeah.
Opening day things, that was like, oh, wow, it's like a 50-50 shot every time we do it now, which makes me think that there are... First of all, there's a huge variance to that aspect of the game. Going into the second round or whatever it can be a huge difference game to game. That second round can last a couple turns. That second round can be most of the game. But there's all this pressure of drawing that, because you, in theory, could end the game every time you draw. Because when you draw and you pull
once
one,
those tiles are added.
Right.
Yeah.
So once that happens, every single thing could, in theory, end the game. Because you draw, whenever you draw one, you dump it and then draw again, so you could in theory just have
draw all 3 of the opening days, right?
I don't know what the odds for that could be.
So it does really add like the pressure luck kind of risk at the end of the game, where okay, I got all of my guys put right where I want them, I have control over these different areas because my worker's there, I'm going to try to draw now and into the game, and oh man, I didn't do it, so now it goes to Aaron's turn and he then has a chance to go and bump all my guys off and take control. So I feel like there's definitely a fight towards the end of the game to be the one to end it, because you don't want... I think there's a huge advantage to that point, which just makes, kind of that cutthroaty, just like backstabby wackiness comes out more in that too.
You're going to treat every turn you take there as if it's your last turn,
yes,
hoping that it is, and then you just,
Carpe diem.
Yeah, carpe diem. Just carpe as many diems as you can. In case you couldn't tell throughout the entirety of this video, we really enjoyed playing City of Gears. It's pretty unique. Well, we can try our best to compare it to some other games, but there are a decent amount of unique elements to this game that really made it hard for me to put my finger on. It starts out really simple and then gets really deep and combo-y the more you're flipping over tiles. So while this doesn't necessarily qualify as an intro game, for new players, it eases them into it slowly, so it's not like Twilight Imperium where you're just dumping a bunch of rules at somebody right at the very beginning. And I think that, along with the really cool graphic design, and even though we're working with prototypes, I know that these gears will fit into their the really cool
die cut, yeah.
Yeah, the really cool production value that I'm aware will come, are probably one of the main reasons why I think you should back City of Gears.
It's like a machine. and it starts off, there's just one gear, it's a really simple machine, and you add more and more gears to the machine, and it gets more and more complicated and sophisticated.
I wouldn't really think
So,
about
like,
it
the
like
game is an analogy for your description of the game.
So like we've said, this game is really hard to like categorize. You know, there's a little bit of worker placement-esque. It's area control. It's resource management. You gotta like know when to spend your resources. There's just a lot.
Dice rolling.
Dice
and
Yeah,
tracking,
action.
yeah, there's the luck of the
Selection.
dice. There's the luck in drawing. A little bit of pressure luck at the end. There's a lot of little things going on to make this game. There's the player powers that you unlock. That like at first like everybody has the same player power, but you can get more and more of them, which really evolves what you can do uniquely versus everyone else. And having 6 unique player powers is crazy. Like it really like just steps up the game as it goes. Like not only are you getting stronger and the board's getting more combo-y, and you're just like, oh, what do I want to do? I really enjoyed it. It's very thinky. It's a lot thinkier than I thought it was gonna be.
If you think I thought it wasn't going to be thinky, think again. One take, that was solid.
But I really enjoyed it, and I think you will too.
And if any of that sounds good to you, we are going to have a link to the Kickstarter page in the description box down below and in the little eye that pops up here, unless you're already on the Kickstarter page and this whole segment is then obsolete.
Either way, Neverboard Gaming highly recommends that you back City of Gears. This game's clearly going to get our stamp of approval.
Or seal of approval.
Temp-tat?
Or henna tattoo of approval.
Actual tattoo
ribbon.
of approval. Face tattoo. This gets our face tattoo of approval.
Cigarette burn of approval, which is usually a sign of disapproval, I would think.
Give it a gold star of approval.
Okay, we gotta feed him some good ones.
You should probably get the Juggernaut mini expansion while you're at it, because while you're there, that way you have it.
And hey, while you're here, you should definitely subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored. We actually had a discussion. We ended up having a bit of
I have to replace my truck whiskey. Sticky Candelaria, all of it.
I think Aaron just likes it.